over at Pigeon Cove again here in Rockport, and I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to use both my Leica M240 and my Fuji X-T3. They both have a 35mm equivalent lens on them. This one, the Leica, has the 35 Summicron on it, and the Fuji has the 23 f2 on it. So they're both equal in that respect. The problem is that this camera here is way more expensive than this camera here. This lens here costs as much as this whole rig does. So I'm going to try and equal things out a little bit, even though this camera and sensor is a lot older than this one is. This one is about 2014. This one here is 2018. So there's about, I would say, let's see, at least 4 or 5 years worth of technology that's completely different from this camera to this camera. I can focus a lot closer with this because you're looking through the sensor here. This one here, it's also a mirrorless camera, but the technology, the rangefinder, is a lot different. So what I'm going to try and do is I've got both cameras set up similarly. The Leica is set up at f8. This one is set up at 5.6. The depth of field should be about equal there. And got both set up to shoot JPEGs in monochrome. This one is set up in black and white monochrome, not acros. And the Leica here is I'm also shooting in JPEG and RAW, so that I can look at them equally afterwards and see what we have. But I'm kind of curious. One camera is just so vastly more expensive than the other one. I just wanted to see how this little 23mm lens, 35 equivalent on the Fuji stands up. Of course, the Fuji, I can do so many more things with it. But the files that come out of this are just gorgeous, and I love this camera so much, and I like to use it just when I'm out walking around because I grew up with Leica. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to walk around, take some handheld shots with both cameras, and try to make the scenes pretty similar if I can. So we'll see what happens. Taking this shot with the Fuji f5.6, and I got to back up a little bit here. I'm focusing on the middle part right here. I'm trying to keep the ISO the same at 200, but I know for a fact that things are going to be a little bit different here, the exposure-wise anyway. The shot on the left is the Fuji file, the X-T3 with the 23 f2. On the right is the Leica with the M-P 240 with the 35mm Summicron f2. Now you can see right off the bat with these monochrome files, which have not been manipulated at all, that the shot on the left is a little bit flatter, and the one on the right, the Leica, is a lot more punchy. So right out of the camera, I would take the shot on the right over the shot on the left. Now, that being said, there are, some trade-offs here. One of them is that there's a little bit loss of detail over here. You can see a little bit of loss of detail. Blow this up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Oop, that's a lot. But you can see that there's more detail in here than there is over here. But when you get into the shadows, things are a lot different. So that's the black and white version of this shot, and this is going to be the color one. You can see right off the bat that these are raw files. They have not been manipulated at all, and you can see that the Fuji file on the left is not nearly as punchy as the one on the right, which is the Leica file. Now, we're also talking about technology that is 4 years different. The Fuji file on the left, the raw file, it's supposed to be flat. It's supposed to have a lot of information in it. The Leica file on the right, as a raw file right out of the camera, it's missing some detail. As you can see right over in here, I'm going to blow this up and show it to you. Let's see. No. So we go over here and we look at this. You can see that the raw file on the Fuji on the left, there's a lot more to it than we got over here on the right. But this is still very workable. The Leica file is very workable, and The results to me are a lot more pleasing. I can just do an auto tone and it comes out fine. And the Fuji file on the left, I have to manipulate it a little bit more. But is there more information on the left? Yeah, probably. And we're talking about lenses that are, one's $450, the other one is, used $2,300 or more if it's brand new. So are we talking about a lens difference here, sensor difference? I don't know, but it's up to you to figure out which one you like best. I kind of like working with the file on the right, even though you can actually see here that there is more detail in this as opposed to this. But it's all personal preference, Got a flag and the reflection of the water over here. That's interesting. I forgot to say that I've got both cameras set on aperture priority. See how this works with the Leica. I think this is an overexposed file as the monochrome. You can see there's no detail in this water at all. It's pretty gone. But that's the way the black and whites work for the Leica files. They tend to be very punchy, and but this is also I think it's a little bit overexposed as well. So I don't know. It's all personal preference. And you can see the same thing is true with the color version, which is the raw file here. There's more information here than there is over here. But I'm worried about these highlights right here, but I think that they're workable. I don't think they're blown, but they are pretty bright. So let's go see the beautiful light shining off the water here. I'm going to try and get some of that too. Of course, I'm shooting at f8 on the Leica and 5.6 on the Fuji, trying to equalize things a little bit. So I might adjust the exposure a little bit to get more of these sun stars off this water here. We'll see what happens here. And you can see here, I think this is also overexposed just a little bit, but you can see the lack of detail in this Leica shot here. The monochrome, boy, it really is. As far as the JPEG goes, yeah, there's still something there, believe it or not, but it sure isn't like this. So I think one's a little bit underexposed, one's a little overexposed, nothing in the middle. But you can see that we've got some nice sun stars here, and we don't have them here, and that really is an aperture difference. This is a shot at f8, this is a shot at f11. That was trying to equalize the depth of field in each one of them because of the APS-C versus full frame difference. So anyway, I kind of like the one on the right because of the sun stars, which was what I was trying to do that here, but at f8 didn't pick it up as much. Plus, it's overexposed a little bit, so that's my fault. I should have tried to equalize it a little bit more. Color version, same thing is evident. Not as much detail in the Leica shot versus the Fuji shot. These are raw files. This one you might be able to maneuver a little bit more. This one, yeah, there is some detail in the bow of this boat here, so this can probably be worked with as well. My son will give me a hard time because of this rope in it. He says I got a lot of rope shots. Well, maybe I do. Whoops. Great design though. In black and white, this looks really cool. Oh yeah. This is an awesome picture. In black and white, this is going to be beautiful. The monochrome setting on the Fuji is a lot less contrasty than this one is, the Leica. All right, so you can see here, this one is flatter than this one. Right out of the camera JPEG, I like the Leica file more than I like the Fuji file. One's got more punch to it, and that's how I like my black and whites to look, which is kind of cool. But you can make this Fuji file look like this. The technology is where it is, so if I put this in Acros mode and mess around with the filters a little bit, I could probably get it to look very close to this. The color version of this is the same thing, it's flatter. The Fuji file is flatter, and the Leica file has a little bit more punch to it. Well, here's a little blind comparison for you. Let me know which ones you think they are, and of course I'll let you know at the end anyway, but let me know how you did in the comments below. To make things more difficult, I have adjusted these very slightly to resemble each other, so good luck. Well, I hope you liked a little experiment with the Leica M-P 240 and the 35mm Summicron, and the Fuji X-T3 with the 23 f2. The results were kind of not really surprising. There's a lot more contrast going on in this, but the technology in this is giving you different files. I mean, I like working with my Leica because I like the rangefinder, and I like the Fuji because of what it can do. There's so many more things I can do with this particular camera here. So let me know what you think. Give me a like, comment. That would be great. Please subscribe to the channel. That would be just as good. And just like to say that Cape Ann Photo Tours is taking tours now for Cape Ann. We're going in separate cars and masks and all that stuff, but we're still doing it. Unfortunately, I've had to cancel my two workshops, the one in Maine and the one here in Rockport, unfortunately, because of this virus thing we got going on. But other than that, we can still do tours around Cape Ann and remain social distancing and all that. And get in touch if you'd like to do that. Go to capeannphototours.com and check out what we have to offer. So I hope you like this little test. One's a lot more expensive than the other one, but it was a lot of fun doing it. And we'll talk to you next time.